Yeah, I absolutely love what I do each and every day, helping to raise up that next generation of educators. And I'm so excited to learn alongside with you. I just filled up my tea, so I am ready to rock and roll and learn today with you all.
Yes, thank you for sharing. Does anybody else want to share, introduce themselves? Remember, this is the perfect opportunity to get ready, because when you're in front of the classroom, you are presenters, you're going to be public speaking, and it's best to start practicing as much as possible.
Hello, everyone. My name is Gina. I'm not an educator yet. I'm in the process. I go to Hunter College. I'm taking up TESOL. I've been working in a public school as a school safety agent, and being around some amazing teachers and administrators, I was inspired in becoming an educator. I would say one piece of advice for myself, I would say to take risk. If one way doesn't work out, try a different way. Do not let one bad incident ruin like a whole experience. Yeah, that's about it.
Awesome, welcome. Thank you for joining us, and I'm so excited that you decided to take that, that leap and do a career change. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So welcome.
Thank you.
Anybody else want to share with us?
I'll go. Hi, everyone. I'm Stephen Julian. I'm a teacher with special education at P36. I work with Ms. Rodriguez at a different site right now. I'm happy to be here. I'm a 4 year in my education career, and I'm just looking to pick up new things, meet new people, and see where this goes.
Yes. Hi, Mr. Julian. Thank you for joining us. All right. Anyone else want to share before we start?
I'll go.
Hi.
Hi, everyone. So my name is Danielle. I'm certified from early childhood, and special education. For the past 3 years, I have been a substitute teacher. This year, I'm right now applying for my first year teaching position as either as an elementary teacher or a special education teacher. And I think one advice I'll give to myself is, as a younger self, to just stay confident and positive.
Yes. Hi. You were here last week, right?
Yes.
Yes, I remember your voice. I can't see anybody for some reason. My technology is just not working today. So, but I remember your voice. Hi, thank you for joining us again. All right, anybody else want to share before we start?
I'll go. My name is Jenny Kelly, and I'm going to be entering my first year teaching. It's going to be freshman math. So pre-algebra, algebra is what I have. And I have been at Murray State University for 7 years as an ed tech kind of coach / tech person with pre-service teachers and the faculty and staff here at Murray State. But I've decided to do a career shift. So I'm excited. My husband is at the same school, and I'm going to lean on him for support and have a mentor there as well. So I know I'm going to try to continue to learn from everybody and just keep going. I loved the advice that if something doesn't go well, just keep going the next day, try again. So.
All right. That was really good. All right. Thank you for sharing. I know we have another host on. Shawnee, are you there? Do you want to introduce yourself before we start?
Yes, I wanted to hear from everyone else first. Much. Thank you. So, hi guys. Good morning. My name is Shawnee Charlenor. I am originally from Queens. I currently reside in Nassau, and I've taught in the Department of Education for 2 years. And I'm also I'm a special education teacher, and I am a trained dancer. So I've incorporated the two into my teaching ability. I'm currently a doctoral candidate at LIU Post. And I also accepted a position at my alma mater, York College in Queens, as a professor, and I'll be teaching intro to special education. So I'm really excited about that. I'm really excited to be here. What Geneva Rodriguez has done is simply amazing, right? I wish that she would have thought about this when I was getting ready to go to the classroom to have a new teacher boot camp. And one thing that people say is so different about me now becoming an educator is that they see that I'm more confident, right? And the reason why I'm more confident, which I'll get into that later, is because I'm a lifelong learner. So the more information you know, the more conversations you can become a part of, you become, more confident. And believe it or not, when you're confident, people see that confidence. And that's what education is all about. The administrators have to see that you're confident. Your students have to see that you're confident. And when you're interviewing for jobs, they have to see that you're confident. And when you're confident, you can do anything. I never thought that I would be a host, right? I never thought that I would be a part of something this amazing. But because I was a lifelong learner, I'm confident, and some other tips I'll give you later. Here we are. So I'm so great that you're here. You being here and spending your Sunday speaks volumes, and it shows that you don't want to be a teacher, but you want to be an educator. So welcome, and I can't wait to share with you and hear from you.
Oh, that was perfect. Thank you. And yes, she touched on so many important things. And yeah, last week we spoke about confidence, and it's very, very, very important. And the more you practice it, the better you get at it, and we need that. And people feed off of that energy and that confidence. So that was a perfect introduction. Thank you. All right. Does anybody else want to share before we wrap it up? I know we had a few people let me see if we have anybody else that didn't. All right, that's okay. Hopefully you'll get a little bit more, comfortable during the session, and you'll want to share. Okay, so week 2 is all about learner mindset and accepting that you are forever a student, right? So first things first is you do not know everything, and you need to have that mindset. You have to have a growth mindset. You cannot have a fixed mindset. You need to accept that. Doesn't matter how many degrees you have, doesn't matter how many books you wrote, doesn't matter how many classes you teach, how many people you know, it does not matter. You have to embrace that you do not know everything, and there's always something to learn. And we're gonna learn about shifting your mindset from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset, and how to do that. And as an educator, you need to embrace that way of thinking, that way of being. And that's the only way you're gonna be able to really move forward, Things change constantly with education. And if we want to really meet the needs of our students and keep up with what's going on, especially with the pandemic, a lot of us, woke up to that reality of technology and just meeting our students on different levels. You have to accept that, So there's a short video here. It's all about shifting from fixed mindset to growth mindset. And that's the only way you're going to be an effective teacher. If you accept that there's so much to learn. If you accept that your co-teacher or the teacher next door might have something you can learn. Even, the security has something to teach you. The office staff has something to teach you. You have to just accept that there's something you can learn from everyone inside and out of the school. And that's what today's session is going to be about. And you need to remind yourself that you're open to learn. Last week, we learned about positive affirmations, positive self-talk, and just preparing yourself, being better prepared to be confident, and also just accepting. So even if you have to say it to yourself, right? Self-talk is very, very strong. Very, very real and powerful, and you need to accept it, right? Even if you have to do a little post-it somewhere, remind yourself that you are open to learning, you want to learn, you are eager to learn, and that you will actively pursue learning. Okay, so I'm not gonna really show these videos. We went a little bit over time, but I will share them at the end of the session. I'm gonna email everyone the links, and you can watch them. It's all about just shifting from a fixed mindset. Okay, accepting that you don't know everything. You're open to learning, and then going into a growth mindset. You guys still hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay, thank you. All right, so week 2, we're gonna be talking about relationships in and out of school, in the community, PLN, which is a professional learning network, with your learning from your coworkers, relationships with your coworkers, and family. We're gonna talk about collaboration in and out of school through common planning, through social media groups. I met the amazing host of this boot camp through social media. It's very powerful. Reading outside. I know, not just for just for education purpose, for entertainment, for self-care. Check out the resource page I'm going to share with you. Try to sign up for educational magazines and articles and newspapers. You want to be current with what's going on. We have social media networking through social media, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. So we're going to talk about all of that and how to use it, right? We got to be very careful with how to use social media, and you need to know what's your purpose for using it, right? If you're, I opened up a few, educational pages, and I use it solely for that. You have to be mindful of what you're posting, what's your target audience, and all that good stuff. And I know Dr. Sam also has an awesome platform with her podcast and Instagram and Twitter, so she can shed a little bit more a light on that as well. So we are going to start with, we started a little earlier. Okay, so we'll start with Dr. Sam, if you're ready. She's going to go into using profession. She said, "Oh yeah, I'm ready."
Oh yeah, I'm ready.
So it's a development. If you need her to repeat anything, unmute yourself. If you have a question about what she shares, I want this to be as interactive as possible. I just don't want us just throwing out, information to you. So please feel free to engage in the conversation.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Geneva, first for organizing this awesome boot camp right before we start our first year of teaching. This is definitely something I'm going to agree with Shawnee, where she shared, I wish they had this whenever I was a new teacher. I agree 100%. All right, friends, I'm going to put you in the DeLorean, and we're going to kind of go back in time a little bit here to 2012. My first year teaching. I remember standing in my classroom, and I was able to get a job as a special education teacher in a middle school classroom for students with severe disabilities. So a lot of my students, I had 9 students and a lot of adults. I think I had 6 adults in my class, working as paraprofessionals or aides, nurses, and I had a classroom assistant, and I was 22, and I remember thinking, oh, everybody's older than me. What do I do? And all of my students start coming in, from the bus, they're getting wheeled into their wheelchairs, they're walking in with their walkers, and all their aides are there. And I had this super weird out of body experience where I was like, oh, where's the teacher? What do we do? And it was like a split second. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's me. Okay, let's do this. And those teacher skills, they kicked in. It was so weird. But it was such a memory I will have forever, because it was my first moment where I was like, I'm the teacher of record. These are my students, and I get to impact them in really cool ways, and they're going to impact me in really cool ways as well. So when I first started teaching, as soon as I got my first year under my belt, I was like, there is so much that I don't know about teaching, and I want to learn more. So for example, if you know my story, if you listen to the podcast or read the book at all, you know that I was one of those teachers that dragged the smartboard. It was on wheels at the time. It was cool then. Down the hallway, and I hooked it up, and my students were using the interactive whiteboard for literacy, math, for calendar, for all sorts of things. And it was so cool to see them start to bring these ideas that we're learning about using symbols, things like that, and pictures, but now we're using technology. I was like, okay, there's something going on here, and it's really neat. So if I use this educational technology, it's allowing my students to express themselves in ways I didn't even know were possible. So I started to learn more. And it just started with a little training at our intermediate unit. In Pennsylvania, we have IUs where they have different classes and workshops and things just for teachers. And there was a training that happened to be that summer for the smartboard. And that's my first little dip into learning outside of the college classroom and learning for myself. It wasn't credit or anything. Yeah, I could get continuing ed credits, but that really wasn't what I was focused on. I'm like, I just need to learn how to use this. And then that's just started this snowball effect of learning, friends. And that's when I started to realize, you know what? My learning and your learning doesn't stop when you cross that stage of graduation. It is just beginning. That learning journey is something that's going to stay with you. And we get to do that as teachers. And it's so exciting. And I love how Geneva shared at the beginning, you're forever a student. And keep that student mindset, keep that curiosity, keep that learning going. So before I keep going here with my little learning journey, I want to pause here, and I want you to think about what is one area that you want to grow in this year? Whether you are a future teacher, a brand new beginning first year teacher, virtual high five to you all, or you're starting a new career. I think like Judy was starting a career switch there. What's one area in which you want to grow in this year? And I want you to drop it down in our chat. Am I sensing a theme here with time management? Let's see, we have using data and time management, improved differentiation. There was another one up there. Oh, it was managing time from Anna. Student engagement. Yeah, Stephen, student engagement, like in all the environments, right? Traditional, hybrid, online, all the things, all the things. Oh, good. Yeah, Judy, I'm so glad you mentioned that for week 3. And yes. I believe we're also talking about student engagement as well. I don't remember which week. Engaging students.
That's going to be part of everything in the classroom week 3. Yes.
Perfect. Awesome. Great. Okay, so we have some tracking data. We have student engagement. We have differentiation. Okay, great. These are fantastic topics to keep in mind. I know you guys will because you just wrote it down, but we're going to keep them in mind as we explore some of these options for professional development. So when you enter your school district, there's several options for PD. So we have like district run PD, which is stuff you kind of got to go to because your district is providing it. And then there's like PD on your own terms. I like to call it like the Panera Pick 2. Like you get to pick anything from that menu and you get to keep learning and growing with it. So when we think about different learning opportunities, professional development can come at you all the different ways that you enjoy consuming and reading and learning content. So for me, one of the things that I really like to consume are podcasts. And I'm going to drop a link in our chat here. There we go, to the Education Podcast Network. So this is a podcast network, and basically what that means is this is a group of podcasts for so many teachers out there. What's really cool about this podcast network is that it's podcast by teachers and educational professionals for teachers and educational professionals. So I know sometimes when we search for education on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, some interesting things come up, but maybe not related to teaching. So this is a podcast network, and you can scroll through and you can find lots of different podcasts for your area that you want to learn more about. So if you go right into there, you click on our shows, you'll be able to see lots of different shows, again, by educators for educators. There's some related for educational technology. So if you want to learn more about engaging students and using EdTech, I recommend the House of EdTech or the EdTech Bites podcast. However, if you're hungry, do not listen to the EdTech Bites podcast because he always talks about a favorite restaurant or a recipe during his show. That's one of his segments. So try not to listen to that when you're hungry. If you're hungry to learn, go for it. The Burnt In Teacher podcast with Amber Harper, she talks about the opposite of being a burnt out teacher and being a burnt in teacher. And she goes through her 8 strategies, her 8 features of being a burnt in teacher. And burned in all stands for something. So I highly recommend that one. That's a fantastic one. Along with the Empowering Educators podcast by Gretchen from Always a Lesson. She does a beautiful job. Hers is great for new teachers, beginning teachers as well. EduMagic, great for future and new teachers too. Just a little shout out there. But there's ones for principals. There's one for SEL, and it's just so wonderful. The Shake Up Learning Show with Casey Bell. She does a beautiful job with Google and Google training tools. And then another great one for new teachers is the Teachers Need Teachers podcast by Kim LeBray, and she does a beautiful job on that. And to get podcasts, they are free. You can subscribe for free. Some people don't know that. Whenever I first started to listen to podcasts, I would always go to the website, like whoever's website it was, like House of Ed Tech website, and I would listen to it from there because I didn't know there was another way to get them. So let me share some info with you so you can grab your phone or your device, whatever you use for listening to shows, and you can download Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple iTunes or Apple Podcasts. I forget what it's called. It changed names. Google Podcasts. And you can download those apps, and those are called podcast players. From there, you can search for shows and subscribe. So subscribing means that you'll always get a, hey, there's a new show update. You're like, yay! And you do a little happy dance in your car like I do, and I automatically download it. I listen to it right away. So if you download the show, you can listen to it on your own terms. You can also listen to them on faster speed, slower speed, pause, all those great things. So definitely recommend getting a podcast player to listen to your shows and download them as well. There's some other great shows out there, and I know that the smartest person in the room is the room here. So I want you guys to, if you listen to educational podcasts, could you give a shout out to one of your favorite shows and why you recommend other teachers listening to it? Because there's more resources in the Education Podcast Network, but this is just one that had a whole bunch in there that I wanted to share with you. So let's give a shout out to our favorite, one of our favorite podcasts, if you listen to Teacher Podcasts, and I'll just pause here for a moment. Yes, 10-Minute Teacher Podcast with Vicki Davis. Oh, she's going to come up in a story for social media. Love those two. Yeah, Cult of Pedagogy is fantastic as well. Thanks, Geneva, for sharing those. Those are two wonderful podcasts. Yeah, Jennifer Gonzalez, I think, didn't she do the marigold story? Like Find Your Marigold?
And she has an amazing blog as well. She's very good. She has a lot of good stuff out there.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, good, Jenna. Awesome. I'm glad you're going to turn up the volume and get some listening in. I love listening to podcasts because I can listen to them on the go, whether I'm dropping my daughter off or picking her up or going to the gym. I absolutely really enjoy listening to those because I always get new ideas.
Yeah, I'll make a list of podcasts so that we can share on the resource page, because it looks like, the podcast is a great resource, and it should be used to learn as a learning tool. So we'll share some for our attendees.
Thank you so much, Geneva. All right, next on our own your own PD type journey here are articles. Now, if your jam is, getting out some articles, reading through those, in college, we read a lot of research articles, right? And we know methodology and what is implications for the classroom. But sometimes you just need some stuff that is, what can I do in my classroom like today to help me out with this topic? And I have there's 4 websites here that I'm going to share with you all. The first one is one of my favorites, which is Edutopia. And if you love Edutopia like I do, let's do a thumbs up with the little reactions down here in our chat. I love some Edutopia articles. Yes, Geneva's a fan as well. And so is Jenna. Fantastic. Awesome. Yes, I love that too. There we go. I'll just put my little thumb down there. Did I? No, I'll just leave it up. So Edutopia, I popped the link down in our chat there, but you can go through here and you can search for different categories. You can search under topics. So for those of you who are looking into learning more about data, they have fantastic assessment ones. Professional learning, you can never go wrong with that category as well. But if you just click on all topics, you're going to see from A to Z so many topics to help you learn and grow as a teacher. What I personally love about Edutopia is that they're actionable, they're practitioner oriented, meaning that it doesn't get too researchy like research article lands, but it is based, in research, but it does give us practical tips that we can use in the classroom like today, which is awesome. And then like one that just popped up here on the first page was how to engage students in classroom discussions. I know student engagement was a topic that some individuals had shared. So yeah, so Edutopia is fantastic. It's so much fun. Just to even just go in and get some quick ideas and some quick learning. And if you just want to follow them on social, they always have some great information. Another good one is EdWeek. I'm going to pop that down here in our chat as well. They have a spot called Teaching and Learning. They also have a technology spot, which is really cool too. You can follow different topics. And if I remember correctly, I think I only get 3 articles for free a week. Maybe that's changed. So look at the title and read the little description and then click on them. Because one time I made like, oh, this looks great and that looks good and I want to read this. So I'm like, oh, I ran out of my quota in like 2 minutes. But yeah, so you can go through and find some good EdWeek materials. I love that they have different topics specifically for math and reading, teaching, all sorts of things. You'll see some opinion pieces in there as well, but a lot of this stuff is very practitioner based. Again, you can put it right into practice. Now, Geneva also mentioned earlier about the, getting different articles and publications. Kappa Delta Pi, I know that many of you may have been involved in that as a college student. They do offer quarterly magazines that are very well done, very well written. Again, research-based, but very practical. So the one that I recommend for new teachers is the Teacher Advocate, and they're actually rebranding that into the new Teacher Advocate. So it's very much focused on beginning educators. So I put a little link down in there. Oops, there we go. That you guys can find more information about the new Teacher Advocate. It's a quarterly magazine that comes out. I write a piece for them called Technically Speaking. So we always have a little technology piece there. That's always fun to learn more about because tech's always changing. Yeah, you can find out more stuff there. And then another good one, and I know we have some amazing special ed teachers and future special ed teachers in the crowd. We can't forget about our good old Council for Exceptional Children site. This one is the national one. I didn't link to the specific Pennsylvania one, but you can find one specific for your state in which you are working. And this one is just linking to their resource library. These are all their free resources that you have access to. So why I pulled this one out is because if you scroll down a little bit under the browse resources, they have resources for teaching online for specific age groups. Here's one for self-care for teachers, because that became a huge topic, for educators, self-care, and especially during the pandemic. So you can just click on the little arrow underneath and it'll open up more resources for you. To help you out with that. So one of the things that I want to learn more about is implementing social emotional learning, like check-ins and things like that for my college students. So I'm definitely going to be checking out some of their SEL stuff here. But there's lots of different things. You can even scroll down and learn more about their webinars that they offer. So that kind of brings me to my next part. I feel like this is all just gliding together. So the next part along our journey, the next little stop along our learning journey would be webinars. And there are several types of webinars, ones that are live like this one, or recorded where you catch it, or it's archived, or it's recorded. You get a recording for a specific amount of time. Maybe it's a limited recording, or maybe it's on someone's awesome YouTube channel that you check out the week after, like Geneva is doing here. But no matter how you're getting your learning from these webinars, even if you attend live, you can only come for a little bit of time and you catch the recording, it's still a very quality learning experience. So I have, besides attending live ones like this, there are lots of different webinars going on. One that I'm gonna share with you, these are all recorded webinars. And this one is from the Iris Center through Vanderbilt. They have recorded webinars and certificates that you can get. Now, I don't know if it'll count for your school. This is something you have to have a conversation with your principal about. But if you go through the webinars, do some of the work on the platform, it will give you a certificate of learning. Like, hey, you did 2 hours of the differentiated instruction module. You're like, yeah. So you can let your principal know, and it's continuing learning. So you can look through, you can scroll through topics like there's differentiated instruction, there's IEPs, learning strategies. For those of you who are in special secondary, there's transition modules. You can look through resource types for specific grade levels. And then you can also scroll down through topics and look for something more specific. So I know a lot of you are looking at the differentiated instruction. You can see there's several videos and there's modules that you can explore. And this is all done through the IRIS website. So you know it's steeped in research, but it has very practical information that we can use as learners. So this was one of my favorite reasons. I love using this for my college students and for myself to keep learning and growing as a webinar resource. There's also another, there we go. Sorry, I had to type in the link there. There's also another live conferences that are going on. I mean, they're all virtual now. Most are virtual now that you can keep learning and growing with. And one that I want to share with you is Teach Meet New Jersey, and that's going on this Friday from 8 to noon Eastern. So this might be as a free resource, a free day of learning to come and learn and grow some more as an educator. So you can find out more information there. I dropped that link in there. So I'm going to pause here. We talked about, I put articles and webinars / conferences, it kind of like into one little spot, pit stop here on our teaching journey. I'm going to pause here and I want you to look through some of the resources that I shared, whether you're going to check out the KDP, the EdWeek, Edutopia, the IRIS site, or maybe you're signing up for a Teach Me. And I'm going to pause here and I want you guys to look through and find 2 areas or 2 things that you can do before the end of the month. What are 2 things that you can do to help yourself learn and grow as a teacher? And I'm going to pause here, turn off my mic, stop talking, and start listening.
If you want to share, you can share in the chat, or you can actually unmute yourself and you can answer. No one. Okay. Well, I know for me, I'm always open to learning new things and checking out new resources online. So I definitely am going to be more open to reading a lot more art. I want to read a lot more data-based research and also listen to more podcasts. That's what I'm going to work on.
Well, for me, so I'm actually going to start a new position. I'm going to be a dean at a middle school. So it's a transition for me because I was at a high school for my first 3 years. So one article that I'm seeing on Edutopia is how to help students cope with a difficult year. And I know this is going to be a difficult year for the students returning back to in-person learning. So I'm definitely going to follow up with learning more, like I said, on student engagement, but also podcasts. I've never really listened to podcasts, but I think I'm going to give it a try, on my drive-ins in the morning. So those are the 2 things that I'm going to work on.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
I would like to share. I would also like to listen to more podcasts. I think that's an interesting tool that we have because, we could be anywhere and just like listen to it, on the go, on the train. So I think that's a great way to learn more about our field.
Very true. That's very true.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, listening to podcasts, I think really helped me with coping with COVID because a lot of the shows were talking about, what they were, either what the teacher was dealing with personally, like, or professionally. And that was really helpful for me. Oh, I'm not alone in this. And hearing somebody's voice is just so much more personal. And I really enjoy, I just really enjoy listening to those podcasts.
Right.
Awesome. All right. So as you guys were sharing, I found another resource for data collection. I know that was a topic that many of you had mentioned up above. This one is new to me. Okay. And the site does look like it's from the 90s. Please do not judge that site from looking from the 90s, but it does have stuff for data collection. And then it also helps for students with special needs, and there's some secondary resources there as well for like our high school friends out there. So you might find something interesting here. Again, I just learned about this site last week. I know it looks like it's from the 90s, but give it a chance. You might find some good stuff in it. All right. So up next is social media. And just like Geneva shared earlier, that's how all of us met, is some way or some form of social media. So Geneva and I were on Instagram Live together in the spring or in the fall. And we also connected through Facebook in our love for helping students with special needs. And, just social media has really helped me grow as an educator. And I know you're going to talk more about that later in today's session. I just want to share 2 tips with you guys. I dropped in our chat there a couple of links that I have done for blog posts about working with Twitter and then working with Instagram, because I think that's where that's where a lot of my learning happens for social media. So first things first, I want you guys to think about, before you even create your accounts, if you're brand new to social, is to think about your why. Why do you want to have a social media account, and how are you going to use it to help you grow as a teacher? I know we probably all have personal accounts. One thing that I thought about whenever I was creating my social media account for Twitter, for example, which was, I think it was like 10 years ago. I remember going into this training and thinking, oh, I don't need another login. Nobody cares what I have to say. I am just a teacher. And that mindset of being just a teacher, instead of I am a change agent, I am an educator of excellence. I wish I would have had that mindset when I first started my account. But when I first started my account, the first person I followed was Vicki Davis from the 10-Minute Teacher podcast. I don't think she had podcasts yet, but I remember following her. And when she followed me back, I was like, oh my gosh, she followed me back. This is amazing. And then I think it was I was actually on her podcast, I think it was a year or 2 years ago. And I remember telling her this, like, Vicki Davis, you were the first person I followed on Twitter. And this is like a huge fangirl moment for me because you're Vicki Davis. And she's like, oh, that's so cool. Like, but you're Vicki Davis. This is amazing. But she's an amazing educator. And I learned so much because I went into Twitter thinking I'm just going to use it for professional use. I'm not going to post what I had for breakfast or anything. But I'm just going to use this to connect with educators. That was my why, to connect with people outside of my building who were in similar special ed placements, and I can learn from them. And that mindset of using it as connection, as a networking tool and a learning tool helped me, when I was following other accounts. Because when you look through your feed, that can be really overwhelming, especially if you look through your home feed, what other people are posting. And if that's not feeding my teaching soul or helping me learn, I unfollow, or I just start using tools like TweetDeck or Hootsuite, where I don't even look at my home feed anymore. And I just have hashtags like hashtag EduMagic, hashtag New Teacher Bootcamp, hashtag NTChat for New Teacher Chat. So I'm really conscious about what I'm bringing into my social media, because I don't want it to be something that makes me sad. I want it to be something that encourages me, that I learn from, and that motivates me, keeps me learning. So those are a couple things I want you to think about before you create, or if you already have your professional account, think about how you could start to curate lists, curate content that feeds your teaching soul. And then my other suggestion for social media, and then I'll stop talking about social media, is to set timers for yourself. Because I don't know about you, but there were times in the past where I would just scroll through social media and somehow Peppa Pig is still on TV and my daughter's somewhere else. Like, what? Where did the time go? So my recommendation is to set timers and be intentional with the content that you're filling yourself with when it comes to social media. So I have a 30-minute timer set for Instagram. I actually just took Instagram off my phone yesterday because I was like, oh, this is not helping me right now. I just need to take it off. And so I was like, I'm done. So I still interact through my computer and things like that. But I found like, you know what? It's not giving me joy right now. I need to take a little break. And taking a social media break or social media fast is okay. People will still be there and they'll be back. They'll be there if and when you decide to come back. But it's okay to take a break and it's okay to be a learner and not feel like you have to jump in right away. Just be a learner. I know some people call that a lurker, but that creeps me out. So I like to call y'all learners. If you just like to look through stuff and save and like things, that's great. But don't feel like you have to jump in right away. But when you do feel like you have to say something, think about how is this representing me as an educator, who's everything you like, everything you comment on, everything you reply to represents you as a teacher. So those are my pieces of advice when it comes to social media. I know you guys are going to talk about that more later on. Mm-hmm. And then the last thing I want to share before we give it over to Shawnee is additional learning and certification. So yeah, we talk about district paths. Those are things that we have to go to because the district provides to us. And then we can also go along our own learning journey, whether that's listening to podcasts, reading some articles, attending webinars, or checking out the archived recorded webinars, connecting with others on social media. But our last stop in our journey today with me would be additional certs and endorsements. So you might want to check out your local college or university because you might want to get certified in another area like special education or ESL or different grade level. And that can help you learn and grow as well. Or a post-bac degree or a master's degree. So we're gonna go back to my teaching story here for a moment because remember I shared with you, I brought in that smartboard. I was like, oh, interesting things are happening between ed tech and my students with special needs. So I was like, I have to explore this more. So I went and I got a certification in instructional technology through Penn State. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. How can I learn more? And they're like, Sam, you could roll that into a master's. I'm like, let it roll. So I rolled it into a master's of educational technology. And then they're like, you can roll it into a PhD. I'm like, let it roll. So my husband and I, we moved up to State College and I got my PhD in learning design and technology with specialization in special education. So you never know where your learning journey is going to take you. When I first started college, I thought I was going to be the best first grade teacher the world has ever seen. I have never been a first grade teacher, nor do I plan to be, but I never thought that this was the path for me. And, you just keep learning and growing and new things open up and you learn more, even more. And it's an amazing journey. And as teachers, we get to keep learning each day. So friends, keep learning and keep growing because it never stops. And thank you so very much for joining me and Geneva and the other hosts for this wonderful new teacher boot camp. So thank you so much. And let's connect over on Insta. I'll drop my social and I'll see y'all over there. Bye for now.
Awesome. That was perfect. Yes. If you see the side of the screen, it has her contact information, but you also just put it in, two more in the waiting room. Hold on. And I think that was great. She's, Sam shared a lot of resources and information, which was great. I hope you guys had your notepad, taking notes or screenshot the chat room. It really was, yes, it was extremely informative. And it's important because remember, this session is all about finding ways to learn. We cannot wait for administration to give us opportunities to learn. We cannot wait for the school to tell us we need to take this PD. We need to be open and want a growth mindset and find ways to learn on our own. And social media, especially over the pandemic, was a great, great way. I learned so much. I connected with so many people on social media, but also just finding articles or signing up for webinars, listening to podcasts on your commute to work, from work, on your lunch break. There's so many ways that you can learn. You might not like to listen. Not everybody, retains information the same way or learns the same way. We know that with our students as well. So if you want to watch a video or you want to listen or you want to read, but find what works for you and be open to that because it's very, very important. And remember, branch out. The benefits of online and networking online is that you meet people from all over the world and they have so much to offer or share with you It's something you might not know, and then they can teach that to you. I'm sorry, my voice and my throat hurts so bad too. But we are going to move on. Thank you, Dr. Sam. We're going to go into now with Shanae. She's going to focus on learning outside of the schools. So the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Amazing job, Dr. Sam. Amazing, amazing, amazing. I'm definitely gonna listen to podcasts more because I think one of our guests said, I think it was Ms. Lancaster, that you can listen to it anywhere, right? Like you could literally be washing the dishes, like you could still be productive and then listening to the podcast. So I'm gonna ask if anyone needs like a 20-second break, like just to stand up or anything. Can you just take a second to stand up, or even if you have to go away for a minute, to let us know, and I will wait. But definitely just take like a minute just to stand up, stretch your legs out. And just a side note, I have a puppy and a son, so if I have to mute for a second, you might hear them the brothers arguing. So I'll just give everyone another minute just to come back. Definitely important to stretch, and that helps us stay focused. So while we are waiting, just letting everyone come back, I'm just gonna go through all the names that I see. And if I say your name incorrectly, please correct me. And this is being done very intentional, because this is something that when you go on interviews or when you start a new job, it's a new teaching job, it's really important that you know your students' names. And I actually went on an interview and they were like, they couldn't believe that I took the time. Like I ran out of time at the end in my demo. Oh, 1 second. Sorry about that. My Vivian is really good. If you need Vivian, really good. 1 second. Sorry. I tell people that my puppy is a lifelong learner because anytime I'm doing a PD, that's when he decides to start talking. So it's really important that we stretch and also know your students' names. So I see Jenna, Danielle, Jenny, is it? Alexis, Sergine.
Yes, Sergine.
Sergine, thank you. Danielle, hold on, and I think that is, did I miss anyone?
Stephen.
Oh, I was looking, I thought I saw you before. I didn't see you when I had to keep going up. Sorry, the Zoom was confused.
It's okay.
I'm so sorry, Stephen.
No worries.
Sorry. And Damaris?
Yes, that's right.
Thank you.
And there's one more, Rita.
Right.
RIDA.
Oh, I see one. Is it that maybe the person connecting to audio?
Yeah.
Okay. So I just want us to very quickly, sorry. You're just gonna follow my instructions really quick. It will not take long at all. And can I just ask that we roll our heads around in a circle? Just roll it around, reverse and go the other way. Reverse and go the other way. Shoulders up. Oh, you guys are into the head roll. You can keep going. Go down and back. Just down and back. Down and back. Down and back. Tilt. Tilt. And really let that tilt go down, almost like this, the top of your head is gonna hit your shoulder, so you can really feel it. Other way. And you can just kind of roll your shoulders back. Roll your shoulders back. And forward. Thank you guys so much. So this is Biscoff. Named after the cookie that you get on the plane. So if the link works for you, it's fine. If you go into Menti, I want to be conscious of the time. If it doesn't work for you, just use the chat. And when you think of lifelong learner, what do you think of, right? Like, think of outside of the classroom. Like if somebody says, how are you a lifelong learner outside of the classroom? What would you say? So it could be a sentence, a word.
I would say someone who feels like they're never done learning, always looking for something new, always trying to keep up to date and fresh with research. Someone who has an open mindset. Amazing.
Thank you for sharing, Jenna.
I would say the same thing. It's just someone who wants to experience the world, just wants to learn new things. Just, it's kind of living like you want to learn something new every day. So you're just open to new experiences.
I would say someone who's curious, that someone who has a lot of questions and wants to find out the answers to those questions.
Yeah.
So really quick, those were great responses. I heard curious. I heard, wanting to learn new things. So really quick background with myself. I was really shy in school. When I was in elementary school, junior high school, I really didn't get a voice until my adult years. And I think it's because I finally found what I love, right? I'm a trained dancer. So if you talk to me about dance, I dance, like we don't speak, right? That's how dancers express themselves. So I actually failed public speaking at LaGuardia Community College. No one ever believes me when I tell them the story. I actually failed it. And it was a wake-up call. And I learned that, when I was in school, if I was an elementary student now, I would have definitely been labeled with having a learning disability. Perhaps maybe ADHD or definitely autism, which blows my mind because that makes me think, what are we really looking at sometimes when we say students have learning disabilities, right? I like to look at what they can do versus what you're seeing that they are not able to do. So I say that just to say, when you think you're not good at something, the more you know, the more you grow, right? I begin as a teacher. That wasn't my plan. I wasn't 5 and saying I wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to be a professional dancer. So the more you know, the more you grow. And that's really, really important. So it's important to learn outside of the school. That's what sets apart teachers from educators, right? I have colleagues who, I'm letting you know right now, the summertime kids, they are not thinking anything of the classroom, nothing. They don't even want you to say school. They don't, like, I'm excited to go in. I mean, when it was too early, I got nervous because I got to go back. But I like going to Target, the little teacher dollar section, right? But some educators, some teachers, they don't even want you to mention anything about the school year. As for me, if somebody calls me and they're like, hey, I'm doing a lesson on this, I'm like, okay, I took a class this year, over the summer, and I was able to get additional certification. So I had my 1 through 6, I got my birth to second. That's because I'm a lifelong learner. And I tell people, when you are a lifelong learner, you are always going to be ready. You never have to get ready. You never have to get ready. You always be ready. And when I say that, you don't know opportunity, there might be an opportunity in your building this year. And the principal might say, who has experience with this? And you could be the only person in that building. You may not, be an expert, but definitely a novice if you attended some type of training, and you can speak on that. And they said, you know what? I'm going to send you to more trainings. I'm going to give you a quick story. I was working in Hempstead. That's the district I currently work in. And we're international baccalaureate. We're becoming an international baccalaureate district. Which is an amazing mindset and amazing way to teach students. So each elementary school had a curriculum, had an IB coach. And this was my first year in the district. And I met the coordinator of the whole district, and she was like, okay, had some great ideas. And I was like, okay, let's do pen pals. And somebody, it was over the summer, and one of the people who they paid for said they had an emergency and they couldn't go. Hempstead is one of the biggest districts in Long Island. And she called me. They said, hey, do you want to go to Texas? And I was like, Texas? What? In my mind, I'm like, why are you asking me? I'm just new in this district to go to Texas. She said, there's IB training. You're the first person I thought of when the person couldn't go. And I said, can I please ask you what made you think of me? She said, because you were always willing to learn. Let me explain to you, the training that I went on was over $10,000 a person. Like, this IB is very expensive. So when I'm interviewing or speaking to other people now, they're like, you went to this top-notch training. And it wasn't never in my plan, right? It was just because she saw that I was a lifelong learner. I'm gonna ask everyone right now, you take your first initial of your name. I'm a fanatic with alliteration. Take the first initial of your first name. So for me, I would be Sophisticated Shawnee, right? Let's just say that. So I want you to take the first letter of your name and think of a word that describes you as an educator, right? Or mine would be like self-reflective Shawnee. So just take a minute and type that into the chat, and also write this down in your notes, because this could help you come up with your social media brand as well. Oh, I like that. Ambitious Alexis. Love it. Love it. Dedicated to, oh, these are good. Okay, these are really good. Make sure you write it down. Fun story. I used to work for Delta Airlines, and I didn't have a costume, but I had an all gold suit. And this was at the same time when the gold miners got stuck, and then they miraculously survived. I don't know if anyone remembers that. So I was a gold digger for Halloween that year. Hilarious. That's so funny. So that was just a little, fun thing. He would probably be Bad Biscoff, right? Busy Biscoff. This book, can you see this book? You need to write the name of this book down. If you don't have it, you need it. I just ordered it. It's the first 6 weeks of school, and it gives a lot of ideas, like, what to do in a classroom, and it ranges from the lower grades to the upper grades. So it's definitely a good book to have.
Well, first weeks of school. Who wrote the book?
From Responsive Classroom.
Right. Okay. So I put that actually in the resource page.
Right? I thought you did.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just wanted to highlight this.
Yes, that's good. I'll type it in the chat.
Can we go to the next slide? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Thank you so much, gracious host. Oh, the next one. I'm sorry. I don't know what happened there.
You see learning outside of school, that one?
Yes. Can you go to the next one? Or maybe it's downloading slow. I'm sorry.
I know. I don't know why it's not showing. It's weird.
Oh, there it is. Okay. Yes. So social media is, oh my goodness. It was important before the pandemic, but we know during the pandemic, it just brought us together, and technology has done things that I couldn't believe. I remember being in undergrad reading articles about how teachers could not stand using technology, right? There was like this huge gap between education and technology, and I could never understand it because I'm a lifelong learner. So I'm like, in 2012, I graduated undergrad. I was already reading about what was expected in 2020, and technology was one of those big things. Life happens, and the pandemic kind of just forced technology on everyone. So I don't know if anyone is like me. I thought I was good with technology. You know, my mother, my uncle would be like, hey, I got a problem with this. I was able to fix it. I was like, oh, okay. I'm like a techie. Now that I had to use it all the time, I'm like, I don't know anything. So I actually, yesterday, I logged on to a free class. I saw it on Facebook on how to use Bitmojis in your classroom.
Right.
I actually, I wanted my resume to stand out. So I did one simple thing. I use a QR code. You know how on a resume you have like a picture? I used to have an apple, and I'm like, that's, you know, on a resume, so many people have that, right? Like the autism puzzle apple. So I use a Bitmoji of myself and a QR code. And when you scan it, it goes to my education website.
Nice.
Okay. So that's something that, you know, if you email me, contact me, I'll show you mine. I don't care about sharing. And I got some amazing feedback. Like it was crazy. I got some really good feedback. So yeah, that's, you know, one thing, but I learned that from technology. I met Geneva from technology, and I love her name, Teachism, and I'm currently trying to think of my own. I love pencils, so I'm trying to work on that. But I don't know if you guys know this, because I didn't know this until a few months ago. When you were interviewing for jobs, definitely, and I don't know now about the DOE. I'm originally from the DOE, but in Nassau and Suffolk County, they use Twitter. And when they are interested in you, look for you on Twitter. And if you are not saying anything on Twitter, they don't want you. Because if I'm not active in social media, what am I bringing to the school? Right. If I'm not able to share my voice on social media, what am I going to do in this school building? I'm going to do the same thing. So they definitely use social media, and definitely use Twitter. So I would get a Twitter account, you know, keep the name professional, and you never know where that could take you. And I had to get a Twitter account because in my doctoral program, one of my professors made us get a Twitter account, and this was 5 years ago, right? Yeah. So when you learn outside of school, you never have to get ready. You will always be ready. Any questions?
I wanted to share something about that before you move on. Yeah, I also learned that in my program. That's why I opened Twitter. Twitter is really big in Long Island, and LinkedIn, Instagram. In the DOE, they're not really big on it. But I know a lot of principals and teachers on the island that got jobs because they was noticed on social media. So it is, there might be other states that you're located in. They might be big on it as well, like you said, because technology is everything now. You need to be able to use it. And also they use it as a platform to engage families and keep them up to date with what's going on in the school.
Yes, thank you.
It's funny that you guys mentioned technology, because the other day I went to my school to try to set up, and the principal was there. Granted, last year I got hired, never met the principal face to face. You know, we had the interview via Zoom. So that was my first time, you know, meeting him. And he had actually sent me to a PD on technology. And then he was like, you know, when we come back, I want us to have a meeting about what you learn from that PD, because technology is the future, especially, you know, for us teachers and our students. So,
right.
Thank you for sharing that, Alexis. And anytime your administrator asks you to share, and this may be good anyway, just to keep it, I started making PowerPoint to all my professional developments that I go to. Like some are even just 3 slides. but that's how I keep track, and it helps me remember. So I would, if I was Alexis, I would create a quick PowerPoint and email it to him. My thing is, I'm going to impress you. Okay. I'm going to impress you because I know I'm going to make a mistake. But you know, like when you're in a relationship, you can mess up in a relationship because you have all these brownie points that you've built. It's the same thing in education, right? It's the same thing in your building. You want to get these brownie points so that way when you make a mistake, they're like, well, we know that this person is really trying. So I would definitely put together a PowerPoint for that and share with the principal. Were there any other questions? So I'm going to ask you now, what is one question? Because I know everyone has this. One question that you've been scared to ask in another PD that you've been in, that you were like, this sounds like a stupid question. There are no stupid questions, by the way.
Right.
But if you start by saying, I think this is a stupid question, people are going to think it's a stupid question. But if you start by saying, you know, I was wondering, they're going to say, okay. People are going to think about it in a different way. It's how you introduce your question.
Right.
Are you going to introduce it on a Whopper paper that they serve the Whopper in, or on a platter that you would get a steak on? I'm giving my questions as if they were on a platter. That's how I'm always going to present myself. So what is that one question that you have been scared to ask? I want you to ask it today. That question that when you think about it, your heart just starts beating a little fast. I'm going to give you mine, and it's a tech question. I've had a lot of trouble. You know, when like you're on a Zoom and they put something in the chat, I can never save the link. Like I can open it right then and there, but then something will happen and then I won't save the link. So if someone could, give me some advice on how to properly save the link, that would help. And I want to hear your questions first. So you can share it or you can write it in the chat, whatever is easier for you. Okay, if you think of one, I want to ask, please feel free. If it's better if you, that number, you can text me, call me, and email me as well. So I know I touched upon it, but this is really important. So I wasn't planning, life always takes us on these roller coasters, right? And I was not planning on particularly interviewing for other jobs this year. And it just, things always happen, right? Like in our minds at the worst time, but sometimes it's a blessing in disguise. Sometimes you have to be put out of your comfort zone to make a big move, because if you're comfortable with something, you're not going to move, right? So I have not interviewed in 5 years, and I've had pretty good history with interviewing. When I got my job at the DOE, I got hired on the spot. Like I walked in for the interview, they asked me my why. That's why that question is very important. You need to look at the notes from that our first week. They asked me my why, and I kid you not, we were all crying at the table. Me, the principal, the assistant principal, in tears. Okay. And they said, I don't have a classroom teacher position available for you, but I need a movement specialist, and you have experience in dance. So here I am, right out of college. I'm ready to, teach math, ELA, and they're asking me to teach dance, something I've never done. My point of that story is always know your why and be open to something that you weren't open to before. Because I know so many people, they were like, when you go on an interview and they say, what's your favorite grade? What are you going to tell them? Deanne, what's your favorite grade to teach? If you want to interview, what would you tell them? Danielle, Sergine, Jenny, Alexis.
Oh, anybody.
Probably
Steven.
I don't know, second grade.
I don't have a favorite grade. My favorite grade is whichever grade I can teach.
And I'm going to tell you, I've spoken to a lot of administrators. They had the perfect candidate. Perfect. But you know, things change, and from August to September, right? More kids come in, you need another second grade class. Less kids come in, you need one less second grade class. My professor told me, if they ask you, what is your favorite grade? Tell them wherever you need me to be.
Right.
I've taught second grade, I've taught fifth grade. I even spoke to someone about teaching middle school, and I did not want to teach middle school. But you don't want to burn these bridges with, you know, with someone. But if somebody didn't tell me that, I would have went in saying a particular grade.
Right.
So that's really, you know, really important. Learn any questions about the job interview piece? And I hope we see how, I know I'm going super fast, I'm sorry, how this is all connecting, right? All of my success is because I've always been willing to learn. Okay? I logged on, when I see something free, oh, forget about it. I'm gonna find a way to do it. I'm gonna find a way to do it. I don't buy anything full price. My clothes, my shoes, I see it, I'm waiting for it to go on sale. You know, the only thing I have to pay full price is my tuition. That's enough for me, right? So I logged on to this, I registered for this webinar, and it was for new teachers. And I said, no, I'm not a new teacher, but here I am again. There's something I can learn. Long story short, I was the only person who was on the Zoom with this person.
Wow.
Okay? I was not expecting that. That was the only time since the pandemic my camera was off, because I was cooking dinner, cleaning up, helping my son with stuff, and I said, I'm so sorry, my camera's off. She said, it's okay. I mentioned something. She said, you know, you seem very confident, you speak very well. And she started her own business, and the business is doing really good. And she said, like, where do you see yourself? I said, well, I'm trying to brand myself because I want to be the confidence coach. I want to help people in areas of their life have more confidence with whatever they're doing, just have confidence. She said, I need to hire you. I said, She said, yeah, because a lot of teachers are having a lot of issues going to job interviews, not because they don't know their why, not because they don't know the pedagogy, not because they don't know how to explain classroom management, not because they don't know how to answer the questions, but the confidence is killing them. And she said, yeah, we're going to be working together. She's never seen my face, right? But because I was willing to log on, I was busy, I had a lot to do, you know, I got this opportunity. So Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, if you look at Miss Rodriguez, if you go to her link tree, it's amazing. Like, I was blown away. Right? She has her YouTube channel, her resume there. She has the teacher boot camp. She's been interviewed. And when people are interested in you, this is what they go look to see. So something in your mind, you could be like, this is nothing. Make it something. I don't care, whatever experience you have, you make it. On the bottom of my resume, I put every single PD that I ever attended. My resume is 3 pages. A lot of people told me don't, but then administrators was like, I was able to go through and see every PD that you had, and I saw that you were a perfect fit for our district.
Yeah.
So never be afraid to ask questions. Never be afraid to focus on your why and tell people your why, right? I did not have confidence when I was younger because I didn't know what to say. And I tell people to this day, I'm not going to speak on something if I don't know about it. If you hear me talking about something, I've lived it, I've experienced it, I probably wrote about it, and I'm just gonna share about it, right? So being a lifelong learner is gonna distinguish you from being a teacher and an educator. I have that on my cover letter. If you want to use it, you can. And when I wrote that on my cover letter, the superintendent asked me, can you explain to me the difference between a teacher and an educator? And I explained it. I said, teachers, they are there for the job. They get their paycheck, but on the weekends, they're no longer a teacher anymore. I live and I breathe this. Like, I don't know who I would be if I wasn't an educator. If I was, I really don't know. I wouldn't have a purpose, right? I wouldn't have a purpose in life. So it's really important that you continue this journey and you strive to be an educator versus a teacher, because it's a big difference. Teachers are those, once they get tenure, they don't care about nothing no more.
Right.
They don't care about PDs. They don't care about anything. So just think about that, the difference between being a teacher, educator, and sorry, can you go to the, I think it's the last slide. So some important takeaways, teacher versus educator, which one are you? And it's okay if you're in your first year and you're like, well, I'm a teacher, I'm not an educator. But if your heart, when you go to sleep at night, you are thinking about those kids.
Right.
The first thing when you wake up in the morning, you're already an educator. It's not about experience that makes you an educator. It's about where your heart is that makes you an educator. Mm-hmm. Take advantage of any free learning opportunities. Utilize social media to network. Stay ready versus get ready. If you stay ready, you do not have to get ready. I did not know that I was going to be interviewing, but because I'm a lifelong learner, when I was, interviewing, it was just, they were asking me questions. What's your favorite book? What are you reading right now? Oh, easy. Connie Hamilton, Hacking Questions. They were like, oh, you read Connie Hamilton? She is our main presenter last year and she's going to be here this year. I would love for you to talk to her because you were reading that on your own, So thank you so much. Are there any questions, comments, concerns? I do have a feedback. I love feedback. I love honest feedback. And when you go on the, when you click on the link, you'll see like, you don't even have to put your name. Just put your feedback. What could I have done to make this better for you? And this is something that you should be doing in the classroom as well, right? That's why it's important for students to reflect on their learning, because I may walk away like, yes, I did that. I did an amazing job. And you may be home like, I didn't learn one thing. I need to know that, right? It's important. So if you could fill out the survey when you get a chance, and if I could just hear one takeaway, or if you want to give me a grow, something you think I need to work on, or glow, whoever wants to share, or anything that you're taking away from this, please, you can share now. And thank you again.
Can you put that link in, can you put the feedback link in the chat box? I'm not sure if they're able to click it from the presentation.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Let me try to. One second.
I could probably try to do it on my end if you need me to.
Yeah, my because of the weather today, my internet is like moving.
That's my, I know.
I don't know if anyone else is having that issue.
Copy.
Thank you. So while we're doing that, does anyone, can someone share their takeaway? One thing that stood out to you, one question that you may have?
One thing that stood out to me was that it's important to be a lifelong learner. And, that's really important for us as educators to continue to grow and expand on our knowledge.
Thank you, Alexis.
Yes, it's backing off from Alexis. I think, especially for me coming in as a new teacher, just to continue like learning and, growing as a teacher, reading articles, doing things outside of school to, make me a better teacher and educator from the staff and the students. And yeah. So.
Anyone else?
One thing I would say is I'm definitely going to stay ready. This is my third year going into my fourth year. I was not expecting to be a dean. At the end of last year, the AP called me and, told me he's offering me the position. I was just hoping to just keep my job, so to get that call and, to be offered the position was amazing. And now that I have it, I'm definitely, like I said, I'm interested in student engagement because now I'm going to be working with middle school students. They're all new to me. So I'm excited for it, but at the same time, just a little nervous about it. But, just as you said, staying ready, I just felt like they saw the work that I was doing and felt confident in that. So definitely the one takeaway is just stay ready and be open.
That's amazing. Congrats on the new position. And there's two quick things I wanted to mention. I know we were talking about before, I think Alexis brought it up about she had a meeting with the principal. So remember, just share when your principal send you to a PD, whether they ask you or not to share, just type some notes, put it in a PowerPoint and just send it to them, right? Another thing, find the hole in your school and fill that hole. So if a lot of DOE schools are not on Twitter, maybe go to your principal and say, I think we should get on Twitter. I can help with that. Wow. Wow. Right. Because when you're up for tenure, they're going to be, looking for these things. And my last thing to you is don't expect people to understand your why. Don't expect your cousin to understand your why when they're not in education. Don't expect your spouse to understand your why or your next move. When I decided to go back to school, people were like, this is going to be expensive. This is this. And I almost didn't do it. But I wasn't talking to the right people, right? If you want to be a pharmacist, who do you need to talk to? Pharmacists. People who are already pharmacists. If you want to be a wife, you need to talk to wives. If you want to be a husband, you need to talk to husbands. If you want to be a mentor, you need to talk to other mentors. Because sometimes people are not trying to downplay your dreams. They just dream smaller than you. So if I dream smaller than you, how can I see your big dream? I don't know how to encourage you because I never got that encouragement. So be careful about who you talk to your why about. And that's why networking is really important. You need to talk to equally your people who are like-minded, because you don't want your why to be, you don't want your why to be watered down. Your cup needs to be overflowing. And as it overflows, you're spreading the wellness. So take one thing you learned today, make sure you use it in 24 hours and share with someone else. Thank you guys so much. I'm here for you. Again, Ms. Rodriguez, thank you so much for the new teacher boot camp. I hope you got something out of it, and I'm here to connect with you. Anything you need, I'm an open book.
Thank you. That was amazing. Wow. I learned so much from you today too. And I definitely wrote your number down because I have some questions. Yeah, girl. But that was amazing. Thank you so much. And I love how she mentioned the whys. She ended with the why because that was exactly what our main focus was last week. So I love the tie-in to last week and how important it is. As a new educator or as a future educator, you might not really understand that. But as you heard from our host and from last week, how important it is. And I stress the fact that the pandemic had a lot of people questioning their career choice. And I'm just like, no, it maybe even dive deeper into it. Our students needed us. We weren't only experiencing it, they were experiencing it, their families were experiencing it. But your why, everyone's not going to understand that. And your why should keep you grounded in what's happening and in what you're doing. That way, when anything, rocks the boat, things are not always going to be peaches and cream. You are never going to question your purpose or why you're doing what you're doing. So that is awesome. Thank you. So we're going to continue with your PLN, your professional learning network, right? It's all about social media. And just why is it important and the benefits you get from it. And like we just heard from all our hosts, it's so important. We all met each other online. We all met each other through social media, and you need to know why you are putting together your social media platform, right? I started last June during the June last year because of my site program, the leadership program I went into. One of the professors, she got all her positions in administration and in teaching and as a director through her networking on Twitter. Superintendents saw her on Twitter. Principals saw her on Twitter. She went into these panels and they're like, oh, you're blah, blah, blah. I don't want to mention her name. You are, she's like, yeah, that's me. Oh, I read your blog. It was awesome. And that made her stand out. Never underestimate that. Social media is a great platform. I Had my first interview as an assistant principal. I didn't get it, but it was a great experience. And that's also something else we need to realize. Like, don't get beat up if you don't get your first job. That's experience, and it's going to give you the, the practice and the confidence. My second interview, I didn't get it either, but guess what? I got that experience, and I was in there a lot more confident in my answers. And I'm just ready for the next one and the next one. Like, I'm just gonna take it. But I received, my first interview, she reached out to me through Twitter, and it was DOE. So there are some principals and schools that are using, social media. She reached out to me. She said, I seen your Twitter. I seen your Instagram, and it's amazing. I love what you stand for. I see that you're very passionate. I see your vision, and that's the way you use your social media. You display your vision, you display your passion, and what you need to know your why. You need to know your vision as a school leader, as an educator, and you use your platform to share that with the world. And that's how you connect with like-minded individuals, right? If you are a person that's all about collaboration and relationships, you believe in that proverb, it takes a village, I'm heavy on it. That's what I truly believe in. Then that's what you're going to be using on your platforms. You're going to share posts, you're going to share memes, you're going to follow hashtags of it takes a village or collaboration and relationships. And that's how you build your network. And also just taking advantage of all the free resources. That's why I created this teacher bootcamp and made it free, because I've seen so many boot camps and conferences that are charging money, and I'm not paying for that. So I know you don't want to pay for that. Share it with other people. I mean, share your knowledge, and it should be free. I mean, in my opinion. So I chose to share this because I wanted other educators to feel confident. Like Shawnee just said, you need that confidence in the classroom, and the students need to see that. So just learning off social media is very important. So your professional learning network is going to help you grow as an educator, grow as an individual. It's going to help you stay grounded in what you're doing. And it's also going to just give you opportunities, right? So I wrote here, I have an Instagram, I use all my platforms for education, but also for different reasons, right? So for Instagram, I connect with teachers, principals, organizations. I received, donations and funding from my students in school through just sharing programs and projects that I'm doing in school. When you share this, there's a lot of organizations that want to help teachers, that want to help educators, and they're just willing to donate and fund Donor Choose projects. Donors Choose are amazing ways to get material and resources for your students. So I use my platform for that. I also use to just share tips and strategies with teachers, with other educators. A lot of people are scared to try new ideas in the classroom, but if they see someone on social media using it and it works, and they see, oh, it's actually doable, like I can do this, then they'll step out of their comfort zone and try it. I know I have, I have so many screenshots of all these ideas from social media that I'm excited to bring into, the school in September. And so connecting with principals, again, you don't want to, in order to grow, you need to connect with people that are on other levels, right? Higher levels. They're smarter than you. They have other degrees. They are doing things. You want to be inspired and motivated. So your circle should involve people on different levels, not only teachers or people beneath you. No, the only way you're going to grow is if you are open to learning from people that are in higher positions. So connect with principals, superintendents, deputy superintendents, anything of that, on different levels in education. Facebook is where I met Sam, Nicole, Shawnee, like on the Facebook pages, groups, but be mindful how you use it also, because it can, if you're not so grounded in your why, it can definitely make you question what you're doing. So be careful, because the comments are ridiculous. I'm sure you've read them. Twitter, I met educational leaders, authors, professors. Like I said, I got my first assistant principal interview through Twitter. LinkedIn, I use it now as a more professional platform, and also because I am looking for a position, so I network on there. I've already had several schools, charter schools reaching out to me to interview for leadership positions. So you can use them. You can use social media for your benefit. If you have a personal one and you want to start an educational one, I can help you with that. I know Dr. Sam also, she's really good on that. She would be more than willing to help you. Jenna, she has Twitter. She uses Twitter a lot. She's really good with Twitter. I'm actually helping her with her, Instagram, using it. But just remember, stay focused on your why, and that would help drive you, like how your social media platform is going to look. Let me see if I can share this video on the power of PLNs. Let's see if you guys can see it. Again, yeah, the weather's been horrible over here, so internet has been very glitchy as well. So let's see if you guys can see it. If not, I'll share the links at the ends in an email on a resource page. Let me know if you guys can hear it. If not, yeah, it might be glitchy. You know, I'm not even gonna show it. I'm sorry, but it's called "What's a PLN?" and 3 ways teachers can get connected. So she talks about, you know, common planning. Also, she talks about connecting on online, researching conferences. See, it froze. Yeah, researching conferences and signing up for articles at educational newspapers and publications. You can also respond to, you know, the writers, the editors of the pages, and you can speak to them. You can share. You can even become a writer on some of these platforms. But it's a great way to meet new people and learn because that's what we need to do. We need to accept that we are here to learn. We don't know everything. And you know, the sole focus is your students. If you're learning, they're learning, right? If you're confident in your approach, guess what? They're going to see that students, no matter what grade, no matter what cognitive level, they know when you are in there and you are doing it genuinely from a good place. They know when, you know, you are speaking with confidence. And they know when you're not. And then you'll get those, you know, those kids that will take advantage of that. If you have middle school, high school, they will challenge you. So it's important to be confident in your approach. And the best way to do that is educate yourself. You know, educate yourself in what I'm trying to stop this share, and it's just acting up now. Be confident in your approach. And the only way you'll do that is if you learn. And like Shawnee, she just shared my LinkedIn. I have my Instagram, if you guys know that, and my Facebook, but I have everything, you know, I shared it. That's a great way to display what you've done or what you're about, right? What's your vision and what you really believe in when you're going into teaching. So you can use that. Again, like I can help you with your platforms if you want. I'm more than willing to do that. But you have to know why you're using your social media. What is the purpose of using social media? What is the goal you're trying to get out of it, right? So this is a reflection for this week. If you try to create your EDU social media page or start off with following EDU pages. Again, like Dr. Sam said, you don't have to post anything yet. If you're not sure what you want to post, right? You're not sure what direction you want to go in. You're not sure what handle you want to use, right? The Teacherism, I started that with a blog. I have a teacher blog, and before I opened up my social media pages, I had a blog, and I just was writing about, you know, what my beliefs were in teaching and my teaching approaches and, you know, all that good stuff. And then it just started building, and it starts growing into something. And when you become more aware of why you're doing what you're doing and what your vision is and what your goal is as an educator, it's going to start just flowing and going together. So you don't necessarily have to have that first, but figure out why are you in education? What is your why? What is your purpose? What is your goal? And start following those hashtags, right? And following pages, and then that would help you. But the best way, you know, don't connect your personal with your professional. You want to keep it separate, okay? So if you have a professional social media, fine, but be mindful of that too, because as educators, once we have social medias, you got to be careful with what you're posting, who's following you, who you're following, if it's public or private. You want to be careful with all that legality stuff. But if you have a social media page just for education, just keep it solely educational stuff and just follow teachers, administrators, try to keep students away from that and all that good stuff. Accept that you're a lifelong learner. That was the main purpose today, right? Accepting that you're a lifelong learner. Once you accept that, once you shift from that fixed mindset into a growth mindset, it's just gonna be a whole new world. You're gonna have a whole new perspective on just life and growing. But you have to accept that. And you just have to accept that you're a lifelong learner. Just subscribe to EDU newsletters and journals. I don't know what's going on here, sorry. Okay, just subscribe, go online. There's free ones. There's also, you get a certain amount of articles for free. Go online and do that research. I know Dr. Sam posted a bunch. I also have a bunch that I'm gonna email you guys at the end. They have free ones. They have, if you subscribe, some of them are not expensive. If you feel like you want to invest in it, it might be a good investment for you. Journals. You want to read scholarly journals also because it will help you with your vocabulary and how to address certain issues in education. A lot of data-based research is very important as well, because also if you want to bring in a change, like Shawnee said, you want to bring in a change to your school and you want to persuade administration, you want to have research-based information, right? Like, oh, this was shown to be effective in this school, or this school uses this. And that would help, you'll have more leverage with that. Think about your major takeaways this week. I know there was a lot of information. Next week is going to be even more because there's going to be a lot of everything in the classroom. So think about your major takeaways this week and what do you want to implement. And try to, your next step should be try to connect with other educators and leaders. Right now, you have this group. So if you feel comfortable with sharing your contact information, if you already have a social media platform and you want to connect, right? Another point of this boot camp was so that you can have a support group of like-minded individuals where you can learn from, you can share, you can ask for tips and advice. So if you feel comfortable sharing your contact information in the chat, whether it's a social media or an email, put it there, okay? Put it there. I know Shawnee, she think she stepped out, but she put her phone number and her email in there, okay? I'm going to put I have my Instagram, which has my links, my link tree, which has all my handles on there. So that's it, teach_ISM. So if anybody wants to share, I know I seen a few people follow me during our session just now on Twitter and on my YouTube channel. So feel free to check that out and share it there. Again, you're gonna want a group of people on your team. It's important as a new teacher, future teacher, you're gonna want a support group. Like I said last week, Mr. Julian's, we work together. He's here now and he's very helpful and supportive. Like I'll reach out to him, asking him for advice, asking him, like I reflect and, ask him to reflect and you give me honest feedback on things. And it's very helpful. And also, like I said, 10 free online workshops and seminars. Oh, you're still here. Okay. She just posted her Twitter. I thought she stepped out. So get all the Twitter handles. 10 online workshops and seminars. There's some that are free and there are some that you might have to pay for, but look online. Again, if you are on social media, there's so many free things. And even if they say it's for new teachers, or if it's something that you might not even be focusing on, it's all about learning. And you also have the opportunity to network with people when you attend these workshops and seminars. They'll give you, free information and resources and materials that you might be able to use somewhere else. I attended this workshop and just like Shawnee said, she was the only one on there, right? I went to a similar one. It was about using music and movement for your special needs students. And I was the only one there, but guess what? I had all their attention and I got so much information and they gave me a lot of tips and advice on how, and I'm now signed up for their newsletter. And it's just like another way to connect with people. And, now I know there's other resources if I want to attend like a theater workshop, now I have that connection. So attend is now that we have so many things that's virtual, you don't have to go in person. So you have to take time outside, in your personal life to learn. Don't just wait for administration or someone in your school to tell you have to go to a meeting or workshop. So we're gonna wrap it up here. Make today the day you learn something new. So every day you should try to attempt to learn something new and take away. And again, today you had many opportunities for that because we had a lot of information here. But if there anything anyone wants to share or add, or you have a question, you can unmute yourself now and share.
Thank you so much, Ms. Rodriguez, for putting this together. I have learned so much. It feels great to interact with some wonderful and confident educators. I always look forward to your posts on Instagram because they are so informative. Ms. Shawnee, you share some crucial interview tips. I really appreciate that. Thank you to Dr. Sam for sharing some amazing podcasts. I will definitely listen to some while in traffic on the Belt Parkway.
Oh, yeah.
There were a lot of takeaways for me from this workshop today. Be confident in everything that's being done. Be open-minded and allow myself to learn more and more. This workshop resonates with me also because I'm totally new to the education field. So I am a bit intimidated and shy sometimes. So the fact that we discuss self-confidence was very important, where I need to believe more in myself and being comfortable with my future career change. So yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Of course, thank you, thank you. And I don't know if you had a chance to listen to last week's. It was all about building
Yes,
your.
I did on YouTube.
Yes, perfect, perfect. There's a lot of tips there, but the confidence is gonna come in time. Always just be prepared and just ask for help. It's okay. We're all here to help you, and that's the only way you're gonna grow more confidence in when you're in front of the class. But thank you. That's awesome.
Yes, so Jean, thank you so much for the feedback, and feel free to contact me. Like I said, this is something that is really new, but I think I would be able to help individuals grow more confidence. So feel free to call me, email me, and we can have a weekly, monthly, bi-weekly, whatever you need. However, just fit your schedule to help you with your confidence, and that goes for anyone else, as well.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Anybody else have anything they want to share or add before we wrap it up?
I'm going to ask you to help me with my social media.
I got you. I got you.
Guys, just take a deep breath. I'm sorry, Danielle. Go ahead. Go ahead,
Okay, I
Danielle.
just want to say thank you so much. It's been so helpful, like all information, interview tips, and like just everything, especially going to be a new teacher, hopefully this year. But just want to say thank you.
Yes. You got this existence. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, sorry. This is a really good thing about teaching in the pandemic and becoming a new teacher in the pandemic. We all don't know what we're doing. It's not just a new teacher.
Right.
For the pandemic, it was a big difference, right? But now it's like we're all learning to navigate this. So don't feel alone. Take deep breaths. Make sure you have fun and do other activities too. Like one day I was playing basketball and that gave me an idea for a math lesson. Right? How to teach my students doubles. So just do other things, and we're here, and we had a lot of support. I think that's what encouraged Geneva to start this, and for those who didn't have encouragement, and like she said, we're all a family now, right? The teachers and family.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And remember, the confidence is when you remember your why, and also just keep in the center. It's all about the students. It's all about the students. You might feel nervous and scared because you're coming in, but like she just said, we could have been educators for 20, 30 years or whatever, but going through a pandemic and having to shift everything to a digital world was brand new. We didn't know anything. We had to rebuild that. We had to just remember, like, all right, we're doing this for the kids. We might not be great at this. Like today, my technology was acting up. In the pandemic, this was happening all the time. We just got to adapt. And as educators, you're going to learn that you just need to learn to adapt, go with the flow, and don't beat yourself up. Don't beat yourself up. And remember, relationships, you might not even know how to address the academics yet. But I remember during the pandemic, I just focused on talking to my students. I would play music. We'll, play games. We went on virtual trips. It was all about connecting and making them feel comfortable with the platforms, right? So even in the classroom, the first thing you need to do is build those relationships. And we spoke about that last week as well. We're going to go into that next week with Jenna, with SEL and building relationships. Once you build those relationships, just like with your friends, you feel more confident talking to your friends, right? When you first met them, you're like, oh, I don't know this person. How are they going to think about me? I don't know how to talk, But once you build those relationships with your students, it's gonna it's gonna be so much better. You're not gonna feel good. You're gonna feel confident going in front of the classroom, and it's just gonna flow. It's just gonna flow. But it's gonna take time. And again, like we can be 7 years, 8 years, 10 years in. We still have to think. Again, we still get nervous. I still get nervous. I mean, whenever I'm getting observed, I'm like, oh my gosh, and I gotta check myself. Be like, yo, like, I know what I'm doing. Like, stop beating myself up. You got to have that self-talk in place. You got to have those positive mindsets. You got to shift your mindset into knowing like you are where you're supposed to be. You are walking in your purpose, right? And if you just continue to remember that, like, you are doing this because this is where you're supposed to be. Your heart is in the right place. That's going to help drive everything else. It really will, trust me. Anybody else? No. Going once, going twice. All right, so I'm going to put together an email because we just had a lot of, yes, look in the mirror every day and say, I am an educator. This is my purpose. I am in the right place. Perfect. And that's exactly how I started this presentation. I said that, like, there's things you need to repeat to yourself, whether you say it out loud, if that works for you. If you say it in the mirror, right, you got to connect, like, this is where you're supposed to be. I'm in the right place. This is your purpose. Or if you just need to post it, or you say it in your head, right? Whatever works for you, you put that in place and figure it out now, right? You have a couple of more weeks before school starts, or whatever position you're going to go in. Put those things in place. Because there are going to be days where you wake up and you're not going to have the confidence. You're not going to have the motivation, but you know that if you have those things in place, you're going to be good to go. Listen to the song. She's just dropping gems over here. Everybody write this stuff down. All right. So I'm going to put together a list of all the resources that everyone shared today, and how you can be a lifelong learner. If you want help with your social media platforms, you have my email, you have my social media, and I am more than willing to help you. And again, we are a family. We are here together because we are all working for the same reason, for our students. We want them to achieve academically and socially. We want to build those relationships. We want to prepare them for the real world. And that's what we're all here for. So if you just keep that in mind, it'll be easier for you to, build those relationships with people inside of school, people outside of school, people on social media. Okay. So next week we are going to go into classroom, everything in the classroom, inside the classroom. And it's going to be really packed with a lot of information, classroom management, schedules, engaging students, data collection. Those first few weeks, like the book that Shawnee just shared, I wrote that in the first 6 weeks of school are very vital. Okay, I know, like, you want to jump in and teach ELA and math and social studies, but remember, you're not going to teach anything, and these students are not going to retain anything if you don't build those relationships first. So that is very, very important, building those relationships those first few weeks. So we're going to go all into that next week. So I will upload this if you want to view it or you want to share it with someone. And if no one has anything else to share, we will wrap it up right now. I'm going to stop recording.